Shabbat Shalom. You're probably wondering why I'm up here delivering the Devar Torah while both of our rabbis lays about. This is the third time I'm doing this. I don't remember why I was asked the first time. The second time happened. Sorry. More Jews? Yeah. The second time happened when both rabbis contracted COVID on a Thursday evening, and they asked me to fill in May of 2022. I had more time to prepare this time. More time doesn't mean higher quality. Nothing so dramatic happened this time. There was a family retreat scheduled for this Shabbat that all of the clergy planned on attending, so they asked me if I would fill in. The retreat is not happening, but the rabbis offered to let me still give a Devar Torah. By the way, since the last time I did this was May 2022, I guess I'm on a triennial cycle, Rabbi. I thought about the rabbi's offer, and I figured, why not share some thoughts with the 100 or so people here and the thousands watching on YouTube? Then I looked at the parsha, and I thought that maybe I was being set up. But Midbar is not the most action-packed parsha. But Midbar discusses a census of the Israelites and the arrangement of the tribes around the Mishkan, the tabernacle. That's it. No flood, no parting sea, no talking donkey. That's in 6 more weeks, or tonight if you watch Shrek. If you want to learn the names of the leaders of the tribes of Israel after the Exodus, this is your parasha. Elishama ben Amihud, Pagiel ben Ochran, Achiezer ben Amishadai, and so on. But I think that I did find a few things in the parasha to speak about for a few minutes. As I said, it starts with a census. All Israelite men 20 years or older were to be counted. Let's first discuss how the count took place. God didn't tell Moses to send people out to count the people and to report back. God tells Moses to count the people head by head, Barosh. Why? This is a big job. The total number ended up being 600,000. It would be much faster to break it down into smaller groups. By the way, some scholars question that number. If you think about how long it takes to read 600 names at a graduation, imagine that times 1,000. You might question this number too. Think of this, 600,000 men, 20 and older, means probably around 2 million people overall. Were 2 million people really moving in coordination through the wilderness for 40 years? A Devar Torah for another time. Back to counting head by head. Having Moses there to count each person served several goals, each of which tells us something about leadership. First, every person got to be in front of Moses. They each got face time. If you want to motivate people as a leader, looking each person in the eye and making them feel recognized by you, by the boss, is a great way to start. I see you. I value your individual contribution to the greater unit. Second, it forced Moses to recognize the humanity in each person. He's about to lead them through the wilderness for almost 40 more years. He is going to lead them into battles. Instead of just being names or numbers on a piece of paper to Moses, these people are now flesh and blood. He has looked into their eyes. A leader shouldn't just dismiss people as mere names and numbers. A leader has to understand that the leader's directions have consequences for real people, for their families, and for their communities. Leaders need to treat people not as replaceable cogs, but as individuals. Don't think that Moses had it easy because he was just doing what God was telling him to do. There are several instances in the Torah where Moses questions God's directions or actions and pushed back. It's actually what my first of our Torah here was about. So this still weighed on Moses. He wasn't just going to say, God told me to do this. Third, this method of head-by-head counting promotes transparency. Moses is counting each person. There can be no fudging of the numbers. From an inside perspective, a tribe couldn't inflate its total to get a greater share of power or resources, nor could it deflate its total to lessen its responsibility to the whole. From an outside perspective, all of the Israelites could see the count. They knew that there was no obfuscation and that there were no backroom deals. All of the information was out in the open. When the process is open and the people participate, the people have confidence in the results. Now let's turn to another aspect of the census. While God told Moses to count the Israelites head by head, God also directed Moses not to do it alone. As the members of each of the 12 tribes were counted, the head of that tribe stood or sat with Moses as the members of the tribe went by. Why? More lessons in leadership. First, you can't do it alone. Including the tribal leaders took some of the burden off of Moses. It also exposed Moses to those tribal leaders. Some leaders have a tendency to think that they have all of the answers and that they don't need anyone's help. But everyone needs help. And notice that God did not tell Moses to pick helpers. The helpers were specified and were from each of the tribes. That way, Moses would hear from all of them. A good leader needs to interact with and to hear not just from handpicked deputies, but from other people as well. Given human nature, I would imagine that Moses had favorites among the tribal leaders, but it was valuable for him to consult with all of them. And the leaders also carry the history of their tribes. Moses could not be expected to know the customs and the traditions of the tribe of Asher. By interacting with Pagiel ben Ochran, he would gain the benefit of Pagiel's knowledge. By engaging with a diversity of people, a leader hears other views, learns what has happened before, and can use that information in leading the organization. Second, including the tribal leaders, promoted the accountability of the tribal leaders. They couldn't say to their people, oh, Moses did this, or Moses did that. They were right there with him. No passing the buck. Third, it helped to reaffirm the authority of the tribal leaders. Their people saw them next to Moses. They knew that God had directed those leaders to be there. A good leader empowers deputies. That's some thoughts on the mechanics of the census. But let's turn to another question. Why was there a census? Well, for one thing, we Jews love to count. Right? 2 tablets, three patriarchs, 4 matriarchs, echad miyodea. There are also many reasons why you want to know how many people are present. It helps you to plan action and to allocate resources. You might notice me most Shabbats during the repetition of the Musaf Amidah, counting how many people are here in this room. As chair of the ritual committee, I like to know how the congregation is doing. But nearly all scholars agree that this particular census in Bamidbar had a specific goal. It was a military census. The Israelites were going to be on the move toward Canaan. There were going to be battles. They needed to know how many men of fighting age they had. And yes, only men were counted. Women typically weren't in the military then. It was a different age, one to which some people want to return. So all of the adult male Israelites stood up to be counted, which brings me to my last point. My notes say hold for applause. We don't do a count of congregation members for military service here, but we actually do a count every day at daily minyan. We need 10 people every morning and every evening to make a minyan. That doesn't always happen. Oftentimes, a congregant with yortzeit will come to the synagogue at 8 p.m. and there won't be 10 people. The congregant will say to the clergy members there, where is the minyan? Well, guess what? The minyan is not some specialized group that is here when you need them. The minyan is us. The minyan is us fulfilling the mitzvah of joining together as a Kehillah Kadosh, as a holy community, for the recitation of prayer. The minyan is us being there for those who are saying Kaddish, whether because they are in mourning or because they are observing our yortzeit sal. The minyan is a chance for all adult congregants, male and female, to stand up and to be counted, just as all the Israelites were counted by Moses in the desert. Join us every day at 7:30 a.m., 9 on Sunday, and 8 p.m. If you are physically able, come in person. You will experience a real sense of community, and you will get to know other congregants better. It is a much more meaningful experience than joining Minyan on Zoom. Come every day, come once a week, come once a month. Every little bit helps. It is an opportunity for each of us to stand up to be counted. If we are there for our fellow congregants when they need us, then chances are that our fellow congregants will be there for us when we need them.